Noam Chomsky's views on the term moral equivalence are complex and nuanced, often misunderstood or misrepresented. Before I run the clip of Noam, here is Chomsky's critique of the term, and after the clip, his alternative way of thinking and examples. Chomsky argues that the term is often used to falsely equate actions of vastly different scales of intentions, obscuring the power dynamics and historical context involved. For instance, equating throwing a rock at a police officer with police brutality against marginalized communities. He also critiques the use of moral equivalence to downplay the responsibility of powerful actors, particularly Western states and corporations, for their human rights abuses and negative global impact. He sees it as a deflection tactic to avoid confronting genuine injustices. By blurring lines and creating false equivalences, he argues, the term can paralyze meaningful action and critical discourse on pressing issues. It can discourage individuals from taking sides against clear-cut injustices or advocating for concrete solutions. Now off to this wonderful clip of Noam.
You say nothing can justify crimes such as those of September the 11th. But then you say we can think of the U.S. as an innocent victim only if we adopt the conventional path of ignoring the record of its actions and those of its allies. So it's not, U.S. is not an innocent victim.
There are no innocent
according to you.
There are no
so it's a guilty
victims.
victim. It's a guilty victim.
Like every victim.
So it had
in the
this
world.
coming to it.
No, that's your inference. The fact
But that's
that
the inference that people get from reading what you've said.
if they are totally irrational. If we're
A
rational...
lot of irrational people out there.
I can't help that. If we're rational, we will recognize that the United States, Britain, France, and I can go down a long list, have a terrible record of atrocities, and that does not justify violent acts against them.
But you seem to see this moral equivalence the whole
There's
time
no
between
moral-
bin Laden and Bush. don't you?
Moral equivalence is a term of propaganda that was invented to try to prevent us from looking at what the acts for which we are responsible.
You say there
I
are plenty of
reject
bin
that
Ladens on both sides.
Pardon?
You say there are plenty of bin Ladens.
Oh, there are bin Ladens all over the world.
On both sides.
There are plenty
that's
of
moral equivalence.
No, it's
that's
not.
a polemic,
It's
isn't
not moral equivalence. There is no such notion. There are many different dimensions and criteria. For example, there's no moral equivalence between the bombing of the World Trade Center and the destruction of Nicaragua, or of El Salvador, of Guatemala. The latter were far worse by any criterion. So there's no moral equivalence. Furthermore, they were done for different reasons, and they were done in different ways. There's all sorts of dimensions.
But why, when the U.S. is considering what to do about this, do you always go back to past?
Not past,
crimes.
Present.
Proceed. Well,
Present.
you mentioned Nicaragua.
I mentioned that because it's uncontroversial, since there's a World Court and Security Council resolution. But I can take cases, since it's uncontroversial, that's a good example. I mentioned these cases.
Are you kicking the U.S. when it's down?
No, I'm asking that we accept the definition of hypocrite given in the Gospels. I think that's correct. The hypocrite is the person who refuses to apply to himself the standards he applies to others. I don't think we should be hypocrites.
To what aim do you do this? To what aim do you wish to point this out?
Because I think we should try to rise to the level of minimal moral integrity. Once we can rise to the level of minimal moral integrity, then we can discuss these issues seriously. If we can't even rise to that level, there's any point to talking. Minimal moral integrity requires that if we think something is wrong when they do it, it's wrong when we do it.
Chomsky emphasizes the importance of analyzing the historical and political context of actions, along with the power imbalances at play, before making moral judgments. This allows for a nuanced understanding of responsibility and culpability. He advocates for a rigorous examination of documented atrocities and human rights violations, regardless of who commits them. He believes that focusing on factual evidence and concrete injustices can lead to more productive dialogue and action. Chomsky emphasizes the need to hold powerful actors accountable for their actions and their role in perpetuating injustice. This includes Western governments, corporations, and other influential entities. He has criticized the use of moral equivalence to equate Palestinian resistance with Israeli state violence, arguing that the historical context and power dynamics are vastly different. Chomsky has also condemned the use of the term to compare U.S. interventions in Latin America with Soviet involvement in Eastern Europe, highlighting the vastly different scales of violence and human rights abuses involved. It's important to remember that Chomsky's views on moral equivalence are not a blanket rejection of the concept altogether. He recognizes that there may be situations where comparing actions from different sides can be instructive and lead to a better understanding of complex conflicts. However, he strongly cautions against using the term as a tool to distort facts, shield the powerful, or impede action on pressing issues. I hope you liked the video and give the channel a subscribe. Take care. Bye-bye.